Will you give me a chance? Not to be impressed by me, not to be dazzled by the noise around my life. Just one honest chance to be seen because I need to say something I've been avoiding for a long time. I was wrong about the woman I thought would be my future wife. And tonight, I finally found the truth. It's late. The kind of late where the world feels like it's holding its breath. This house is too big for one heartbeat. The lights are soft, but the shadows still win. You can hear the air conditioning whispering like a tired secret, and if I stop moving, the silence gets loud enough to feel like a weight on my chest. People think a life like mine is always full, always bright, always surrounded, but the truth is, you can have everything and still reach for your phone like it's the last warm thing in the room. And you know what's embarrassing? It's not the loneliness. I could live with that. I've lived with it for years. It's the fact that I helped build it. I had this picture in my mind, this perfect idea of what my woman should be, what my future wife should look like, how she should sound, how she should fit beside me, like some final piece that makes the whole story make sense. I told myself I needed someone flawless, someone who would never question me, someone who would never slow me down, someone who would never see the parts of me that don't shine, and I didn't realize what I was really saying. I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for a performance that made me feel safe. I wanted someone who would admire the mask because if she admired the mask, she wouldn't ask about the man underneath it, because the man underneath it is tired. Not long day tired, not I need a vacation tired. I mean the kind of tired that sits behind your eyes when you've been strong for so long, you've forgotten what softness feels like. I've been celebrated in rooms where nobody ever truly touched my soul. I've had people laugh too loudly at things that weren't funny just to stay close to my orbit. I've had conversations that sounded like love but felt like hunger. And I mistook all of that for connection until one night, maybe like this night, I realized something that hit me so hard I had to sit down. The woman I thought I wanted was never going to make this quiet disappear, because the quiet isn't outside of me, it's inside. And the truth is, I don't need someone who looks like a dream. I need someone who feels like home. Home isn't a place that makes your life look good. Home is a place where you can finally stop pretending you're not afraid. Home is a voice that doesn't change when you fail. Home is a hand that reaches for you when you get cold. Home is a presence that stays, not because it's easy, but because it's real. And that's the part I was wrong about. I thought love was something you earn by being impressive, by being unstoppable. But love, real love, is what happens when you're not impressive at all. When you're quiet, when you're human, when you're heavy with the things you never say out loud and someone still looks at you like you're worth the effort. That kind of love scares me. Because if I admit I want it, then I can't hide behind the noise anymore. Then I'd have to admit I don't want a crowd. I want one person, one woman who can look at all this and not be seduced by it, not be intimidated by it, not try to use it, just see me. You. I don't know who you are exactly, where you're listening from, what your day looked like, what you're carrying, but I know what it means to feel like you're always the one holding everything together. I know what it means to be strong until strength starts to feel like a prison. And if you're here, if you made it to this moment, then maybe you understand something most people don't. Maybe you understand that the richest thing in the world is not what you can buy, it's what you can come home to. So tell me, when you hear future wife, what do you picture? Not the fantasy, not the movie, the truth. What does a real woman, real love feel like to you? I used to think love was something you could choose correctly, like a suit that fits, like a key that turns, like a decision you make once and never question again. And I built this whole private checklist in my head, not written down anywhere. No, it was worse than that. It lived inside me, quiet, couldn't stand, like a judge that never sleeps. I told myself my future wife would be a certain key. D of woman. A woman who looked like certainty. A woman who walked into a room and made people behave. A woman who made my life seem inevitable. And I can admit it now here in the dark with you. Part of me wanted her to be a trophy, not because I'm cruel, because I was scared. When you spend your life being watched, you start believing you need armor. And the easiest armor is the kind that shines. So I chase shine. I chase the kind of beauty that makes strangers stare. I chase the kind of charm that makes people say, wow, he really has it all, as if love was the final proof that I'd won. But the thing nobody tells you, when you choose someone because of how they make your life look, you are quietly choosing to be alone. Because a woman who loves the image will always be competing with it. She'll love you on your best day. She'll kiss you when the cameras are near. She'll hold your arm like it's a prize. But at night, when it's just breath and silence, she won't know what to do with you. And maybe that was the real reason I picked wrong. Because the truth is, I didn't know what to do with me either. I thought I needed someone who would never challenge me, someone easy, someone who would slip into my life without making me feel exposed. I told myself I need peace, but what I really meant was I need control. I wanted love that wouldn't interrupt my momentum, love that wouldn't ask me to slow down, love that wouldn't notice when I was drifting. I wanted to be adored without being known. And that's a dangerous kind of hunger because adoration feels warm at first. It feels like sunlight, but it doesn't hold you when the sun goes down. Attention is loud. It fills a room, but it doesn't fill a bed. It doesn't fill that moment when you wake up at 3 in the morning and your chest feels tight for no reason, and you stare at the ceiling like it's going to explain your own life back to you. That's when you find out what love really is. Love is not the way she looks in a dress. Love is not the way she makes other people jealous. Love is the way she treats you when there is nothing to gain, when you're quiet, when you're not entertaining, when you're not on an it. I didn't understand that. I thought passion was proof. I thought chemistry was proof. I thought being wanted was proof. But being wanted isn't the same as being cherished. You can be wanted like a luxury, like a status symbol. You can be wanted like a doorway to a better life, and you'll feel it not right away because your ego will drink it like water. But eventually you'll notice the small things. How she listens only when you're saying something impressive. How her eyes leave your face when you talk about your fears. How she changes the subject when the conversation gets real. How she loves you like a headline, not like a human being. I remember these moments so clearly it hurts. Sitting across from someone in a beautiful place, table set, lights low, everything perfect, and feeling completely unseen. Feeling like I could disappear right there and she wouldn't notice until the room got colder. That's the thing about the wrong kind of love. It doesn't feel like heartbreak, it feels like being slowly erased. And I played my part too. I made myself easy to admire. I gave people the version of me that doesn't need anything, the version that never trembles, the version that always has an answer. Because if I showed them the truth, the tired man, the restless mind, the nights that don't end, they might leave. So I kept choosing women who love the mask, because a woman who loves the mask won't ask you to take it off. And that felt safe until it didn't, because you can't build a home out of applause. You can't fall asleep inside a compliment. You can't be held by a crowd. And one day you look around and you realize you have everything except the one thing that makes everything worth having. Tell me something honestly. Have you ever been in a room with someone and still felt alone, like you were right next to them but a whole ocean away? There's a specific kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being single. It comes from being misunderstood on purpose, from choosing the wrong person and then pretending it's fine because the outside of your life still looks perfect. That's the part nobody sees. They see the photos, the smiles, the power couple illusion. They see the polished version, the version that doesn't bleed. But behind closed doors, it's just two people breathing in the same space and feeling like strangers. And I learned something brutal. Being wrong about love doesn't always explode. Sometimes it just drains you, slowly, quietly, like a leak you ignore, until the whole house smells like damp. You start losing little pieces of yourself. Not in big dramatic moments. In the small ones, the way you stop telling stories because she doesn't really listen. The way you stop reaching for her hand because she pulls away without even thinking. The way you stop sharing your fears because you see them boring her. And then you stop feeling. You become efficient, predictable, careful. You start living like a man who's trying not to spill anything. I hated who I became. Not angry, just numb. Because when love doesn't feel safe, you don't become softer. You become smarter. You learn to anticipate. You learn to manage moods. You learn which version of yourself gets rewarded. And one day, you realize you've been editing your own heart like it's something embarrassing. I don't even blame her fully. I was the one who taught people how to treat me. I taught them that I don't need much, that I'm fine, that I can handle anything. I built a life where everyone assumes I'm made of metal. And maybe you know what that's like. Maybe you're the kind of woman who keeps it together so well people forget to ask if you're okay. So when I got into something real, something that should have been love, I didn't know how to be human inside it. I didn't know how to say, please don't leave. I'm scared. I need you. I don't know what I'm doing. Those words tasted like weakness. So instead of saying them, I disappeared. Not physically worse. Emotionally, I would be there but not present. I'd stare at a wall like it had answers. I'd turn quiet like a locked door. I'd keep my face calm while my chest was screaming. And she would feel it. Of course she would. A woman always feels when a man goes cold. even if he insists he's just tired. And the cost of that is that the other person starts living in a constant state of guessing. Guessing what you meant, guessing what you want, guessing where they stand. It's torture. And I hate that I put anyone through that. Because the truth is, I wasn't cold. I was afraid. Afraid of being known too deeply. Afraid of being touched in places success can't protect. Afraid that if I finally let someone in, they'd see the messy parts, the parts that don't win, the parts that just ache, and they'd walk away with the map to my weakest places. So I stayed guarded. I stayed safe. And in doing that, I lost the very thing I wanted. You'd think a man with my life would be fearless. But love is different. Love isn't a stage. Love is a room with the lights off where you can't hide your eyes. Love is someone noticing your silence and not letting you escape it. Love is someone saying gently, talk to me. I'm here. And if you've never been held like that before, it can feel terrifying because suddenly you're not being Ed, you're being seen. And I wasn't ready. I chose women who felt exciting, but not women who felt safe enough for me to be soft. And every time I did that, I paid for it. Not with money, not with reputation, with something more expensive. Peace, sleep, the ability to come home and actually exhale. There were nights I sat on the edge of a bed and felt this strange emptiness, like my body was present, but my soul had checked out hours ago. And I'd ask myself a question I couldn't answer. How did I build so much and still feel like I have nowhere to rest? That's when it started to hit me. The woman I thought I wanted was built from my ego, but the woman I truly need, she's built from my honesty. And honesty is the one thing I avoided the longest. So tell me, when you're hurting, do you speak or do you go quiet like I do, hoping someone will love you enough to understand the silence? The truth didn't arrive like a movie. There was no dramatic moment, no lightning, no perfect speech. It came the way real things come, quietly in the smallest moments when nobody was watching. I didn't find the truth like you find a secret. I felt it like warmth returning to fingers that had been cold for too long. Because one day I met a kind of woman I used to overlook, not because she wasn't beautiful, but because she wasn't trying to perform beauty for the world. She wasn't loud. She didn't chase the room. She had this calm, this steady presence, like the air feels different when you step in. Oh, a quiet chapel or a library. Not religious, just still. Like the world slows down around her. And the strangest part, she didn't look at me like a prize. She looked at me like a person, like she could see past the noise without even trying. At first, it made me uncomfortable because I'm used to people reacting. I'm used to being treated like I'm either dangerous or desirable or distant. But she treated me like I was human, and that scared me more than any spotlight ever could, because when someone doesn't want anything from you, you don't know what to hide behind anymore. I remember this one moment. It wasn't glamorous, it was just late. The kind of late you and I are in right now. There was a soft light in the kitchen, the rest of the house was dark. I was sitting there like an empty cup, just staring at nothing, pretending I was fine. And she didn't rush me, she didn't interrogate me. She didn't make my silence about her. She just walked over, put something warm in front of me, tea maybe, and rested her hand near mine. Not forcing it, just close enough to say, I'm here. No speech, no pressure, just presence. And something inside me broke in the best way, because I realized that's the truth. The truth is not the woman who looks perfect beside you. The truth is the woman who makes you feel safe enough to stop pretending. The truth is the woman who doesn't fall in love with your height, but with your tiredness, your humanness. The truth is the woman who can handle your quiet nights, not just your bright days. I used to think wife meant a title, a role, a public image, but the truth, a real wife is a private thing. She's the one who can see you at your worst and not use it as a weapon later. She's the one who doesn't punish you for being human. She's the one who can say gently, come here, talk to me, don't disappear. And when you don't know how, she waits. Not forever, not blindly, but with a kind of patience that has boundaries and love in it at the same time. That's rare, and I didn't understand it before. I thought passion was the proof, but peace is the proof. The kind of peace that makes you sleep deeper. The kind of peace that makes you exhale without realizing you've been holding your breath for years. And I started noticing how my body responded to her. My shoulders would drop without me telling them to. My jaw would unclench. I didn't feel like I had to win her. I didn't feel like I had to impress her. I just felt like I could be there. And you might be thinking, so what's the truth you found? Here it is. I don't need a woman who adds to my life like an accessory. I need a woman who returns me to myself. Someone who can wake up next to me and not turn it into a performance. Someone who can tie my tie in the morning, not because she's obligated, but because she wants to touch my life in small ways. Someone who can cook for me, sometimes not to serve me, but to say, I'm building a home with you. Someone who can wait up for me on the hard nights, not to control me, but to remind me I'm not alone. And I know those sound like simple things, but simple things are what lonely men dream about. Not yachts, not headlines, a warm kitchen light, a soft voice saying, you're safe here. Because the truth is, when you've spent your whole life being strong, the most seductive thing in the world is a place where you don't have to be. So tell me, have you ever met someone who didn't excite your ego, but made your heart feel quiet for the first time in a long time? I used to believe love was supposed to feel like fire, like hunger, like obsession, like you couldn't breathe unless the other person was near. And sure, that kind of love is loud, it burns bright, but it also burns fast, because fire doesn't ask permission. Fire doesn't care what it destroys. And I've lived long enough to know the love that lasts isn't always the love that screams. Sometimes it's the love that stays, the love that shows up when you're not attractive, when you're not charming, when you're not winning, the love that sits beside you in the hard seasons. Sickness, stress, grief, the nights where you don't know how to talk without sounding broken. That's the real test, not the honeymoon, not the highlight reel. The test is the Tuesday night version of you. The test is the version of you with tired eyes and a short temper and a heart that doesn't know how to ask for help. And if I'm honest, that's where I failed people, because I didn't know how to be carried. I didn't know how to say I'm not okay. I would rather drag myself across glass than admit I needed comfort. So when life got heavy, I did what I always do. I went quiet. I went cold. I turned into distance. Not because I didn't care, because I cared too much. Because closeness is dangerous when you've been hurt. Because if you let someone hold you, they can also drop you. So I kept control. I kept the upper hand. I kept my feelings locked behind a calm face. And I told myself that was strength. But it's not strength. It's fear dressed in a suit. And the woman on the other side of that fear, she pays for it. She starts blaming herself. She starts wondering what she did wrong. She starts walking on emotional glass, trying not to trigger your silence. And I hate that. I hate knowing I made love feel like a puzzle to solve. Because love isn't supposed to feel like a job interview you can fail at any moment. Love is supposed to feel like rest. So when I say I found the truth, I mean I finally understood what I would need to do differently, not what she needs to do, what I need to do. I need to stop punishing people with my absence. I need to stop acting like silence is safer than honesty. I need to stop expecting someone to read my mind when I won't even read my own heart. And I need to learn how to offer something that isn't just protection but tenderness, because you can protect a woman and still make her feel alone. You can give her a beautiful life and still starve her emotionally. You can build a fortress and call it security, but if there's no warmth inside it, it's just another kind of prison. Here's what I wish I could say to the woman I'd want to keep. The